Hello, thank you for being in a new video. This time I have first impressions of the Realme 13 Pro Plus, a device that has recently been presented globally. It has not yet arrived in Mexico but will soon have its official arrival. For now, it is an initial glimpse of what Realme has just presented, so let's get started. This device will be quite similar in many ways to the last generation, so let's focus mainly on the most drastic changes it has undergone. Obviously, the design will be one of these aspects that has changed, although it maintains its same essence and design line with the camera in a circular format. In fact, if you notice, the entire contour of the camera also has very nice details at the level of aesthetic design. And in this case, the manufacturer officially communicates that this design is inspired by Monet, who is an artist, and mainly among one of his works called Grain Stack. As you notice, the back cover has a very nice finish. It is frosted glass in this edition called Monet Gold, although there is also an edition with a faux leather cover in the emerald green color edition. Realme emphasizes that it has been very complex to make this finish. Look at the textures it is able to project with different angles of light. It is a design that honestly they have taken a lot of care and it has turned out very well. It's very nice in the hand and also very pleasing to the eye. So it's a very nice device, and we're also going to find a very stylish design in terms of thickness and weight, because this edition, which is glass, has a weight of 190 grams and a thickness of 8.23 millimeters approximately, while the leatherette edition has different characteristics. It has less weight but greater thickness, although with really little noticeable differences. The truth of the case is that it is an extremely nice design and will not only be very nice, but it will also be very resistant, and that is something to highlight because usually nice devices tend to give us the feeling of being very fragile. But in this case it is not so, because in this case it incorporates something called realme armor shell protection, which not only consists of a special Gorilla Glass but also the entire structure and even the motherboard are very reinforced to prevent any damage to any fall. So I insist, this is not only a beautiful device but also a tough one. In fact, as in the last generation, it maintains the IP level of resistance against water and dust. Realme claims that this device can withstand 1 hour submerged in water 5 centimeters deep. Obviously, it is not capable of surviving very extreme depths, but for accidental drops in water, it seems to me that it is a very good level of resistance. And in the cameras, we will also see some changes. To begin with, we find the ultra-wide camera in the upper right corner. This is an 8-megapixel camera with f2 2-point fixed focus and 16mm focal length. It remains similar to the last generation. In fact, the main camera also remains similar with a 50-megapixel sensor. But now we are talking about the Sony Lithia 701, which is a newer sensor. It also has optical stabilization, and it comes with an f1.88 aperture, and its focal length is 24mm. So overall, it's a similar camera to the last generation. But if we see a more modern sensor, and on the other hand, the one that has undergone the biggest changes is the periscope camera that already existed in the last generation, but with an OmniVision sensor and f2.8 aperture plus a 4-piece lens. So now we move to a higher quality Sony Lithia 600 sensor of a recent generation. It's a sensor that other manufacturers use in the main camera, but Realme has decided to use it in the periscope camera. So it's remarkable. This lens now incorporates a 2.65 f aperture, so it's brighter than the last generation, and instead of a 4-piece plastic lens, it incorporates a 1-piece glass and 3-piece plastic lens. So we also see a change that should improve the quality. Obviously, it also has optical stabilization, and we're still talking about an approximate 3x optical zoom. Specifically, its focal length is 73mm, so it's going to give us good quality. The front camera is 32 megapixels with f-aperture 2.45 and fixed focus, so as you can see, it is able to give us several zoom settings, and in all of them it maintains a very good image quality. Also within the portrait mode, the remarkable thing is that it lets us use the 3x lens to give a much more professional perspective, so I took some portrait pictures, even to objects without any body or person present, to see what it was capable of. And the truth is that the result is very nice. The fact that it allows us to take the pictures with 73mm gives a much more professional perspective, similar to what you would find in professional cameras. For example, here's another one of the photographs, so you can see how it's also able to give a very good level of detail in the foreground while naturally blurring the background. Here you're looking at another one of these photographs, and in each of them what I like is that it detects depth very well, even the complex gaps that can be between these types of objects. Also look at this other photograph to see how the blur is applied gradually. That is, what is closer will stay in focus, and as it moves further away, it blurs to give a very natural result. Now take a quick look at some other portrait photography results with bodies already present. In all of them, I like the result because it detects people and objects in the foreground with good accuracy while blurring the background nicely. So if one of your tastes or hobbies is to take portrait photography, this device honestly gives us a very good quality. And I even took other pictures in backlit conditions and see how well the device is able to balance highlights and shadows. Unlike professional cameras where, for example, you have to have a lot more knowledge to try to get a good backlit picture. In this case, from the automatic mode, you just point, shoot, and the result will be very good. And now I want you to quickly see the range that it achieves in the photograph. You're looking at this 16mm photo with the ultra-wide camera. Subsequently, it's the 24mm photo that is with the main camera. Now with the 49mm perspective, that is 2x zoom. In this case, it is digital zoom, but as you can see, it maintains optical quality. The level of detail is very good. Then we move on to the 73mm camera, which is the telephoto camera that this device has, and again, it still maintains a good level of detail. And taking advantage of the fact that it has a high-resolution sensor, notice that even jumping up to a 144mm setting, you still see very good detail. We're talking about 6x zoom. Now you're looking at 10x zoom, and again, it still maintains good image quality. So from 1 to 10x, I would say that's your most comfortable range and where you have the best quality. But subsequently, we go up to 30x in this picture, and it still looks very good considering it's not an ultra premium device. It's more part of the premium mid-range, and the pictures come out pretty good. Beyond 30x, it seems to me that the result may be a bit more debatable. Its maximum capability is 120x, but I find that's where it starts to lose a lot more detail. Let's quickly go through this other photo test so you can see the maximum range it is capable of reaching, which, as I say, is 120x. It's a bit of an exaggeration, but in super distant scenes, it could give you an attractive result. Very rarely are you going to use this level of zoom, but it's very noticeable difference between this photograph and the photograph with the main camera, so it does have very good range. Now, this device also incorporates several new artificial intelligence features that were not previously present in realme. So to start off, let me show you this ultra clear feature. I want you to notice how this photograph is not characterized as being very good in terms of level of detail. So let's run this ultra clarity algorithm with artificial intelligence, and let me zoom in on the device so you can more clearly notice the difference. It takes a few seconds because it's an artificial intelligence function, and afterwards we can see the result. I want you to see the difference. This is before and this is after. The truth is that it is an algorithm that does work very well to improve the sharpness of several of your photos in case they have not come out very well or you want to restore some old photos. I was delighted with the result. For example, let's try exactly the same thing with this old photograph that I looked up on the internet just so you can see the difference. So again, we are going to run the ultra clear function. It will be doing the artificial intelligence its job, and after that we will be able to see the result and see the difference. This is before we run the algorithm, and afterwards, if I release my finger, we can see the final result. I'm not sure if you get to notice the result through the camera, but the truth is that you do get to notice a significant improvement in the level of detail. And in fact, this ultra clear feature could also help you optimize some zoom photos that you may not feel are as sharp. So watch again. We're going to apply the ultra clear button. You wait for me to do the processing, and I want you to notice the before and after difference because there's definitely a significant improvement. This is the result after processing, and this is the result before. So as I say, it can also be a little hack to improve the zoom even more. Also, this generation integrates the artificial intelligence eraser, which has two options, one with intelligent lasso and one to paint over it. So you can simply draw an outline on top of whatever you want to delete and it will automatically recognize it. It takes a few seconds to do all the artificial intelligence analysis, and then it fills in with generative artificial intelligence. So you see how the result is quite convincing when it comes to removing objects. So it can be an interesting contender in the premium mid-range. We will have to wait for its official price because for the moment it has been launched in some countries, but in Mexico we still do not know its price. Let me quickly mention the rest of its features. It integrates a 6.7-inch OLED screen with 120 Hz, Full HD Plus resolution, and 2000 nits as maximum peak brightness when watching HDR content. Of course, it also has fingerprint reader inside the screen. It will also include stereo sound with one speaker below and another speaker above. The battery will be 5200 milliamps, and that's another evolution from the last generation, supporting 80-watt charging, although the processor is the same Snapdragon 7S Gen 2, which for gamers may perhaps come up a little short. It is a device that focuses much more on photography than on power, although when we do a much more in-depth video review, we will do detailed tests. And finally, it has versions with up to 12 gigabytes of RAM and up to 512 gigabytes of storage, although that can obviously vary depending on the different regions, as there are also models with less RAM and less storage. So we will have to wait for the official launch in Mexico to know which version we will have on this side of the world. For the moment, we have reached the end of this video. I hope you liked it. If you did, you know you can tell us, and we'll see you next time.